think we're good. Okay. Mic check, mic check. Don't know if y'all can hear me or not. Let's see, can I make this bigger? No, I don't think I can. Might be better to do it like this. I think we'll do it like this. How's the sound? What's going on, people in the chat? Hope everybody's having a good Sunday. Normally, this time of year, I'd be bragging about how it's warm in Hawaii. Instead, I'm freezing like the rest of y'all. Freezing like the rest of y'all out here in the States. So what's up, everybody in the chat? Figured we'd try live stream. So I don't know how good the connection is, so bear with me. I'm hoping it stands up. It should. It's been a minute, right? It's been a minute since we've been on here live chatting. So I got time on a Sunday. Figure, well, why not give it a shot? So what is going on, y'all? Give it a little bit more minute. We'll hit the roll call like we always do. But as always, welcome Florida State family, Seminole Nation, and the 863 tribe. It's your boy POLK, a.k.a. a.k.a. the goddamn truth. And I figure, I know we had a big recruiting weekend this last weekend. I'll be honest with you, I haven't really had time to really follow everything that's going on with the team. So I don't know like with the ins and outs. I don't even know half of the kids that visited Saturday, to be honest with y'all. Now I'm going to pretend. I'm assuming, it was a success, that they did fairly decently. Still early for that 2023 class. So you know how I am about these recruits. I don't like to get too big on kids that are literally a year away from putting their name on that dotted line, so to speak. So today I just kind of want to touch base with the people. We'll do like a question Q&A. Y'all got questions? I might have answers. I got opinions for sure. Don't know if I got legit answers, but I got opinions. And vice versa. I might have some questions to throw out there to the people. And then, of course, we beat them again. I mean, at this point, if you're a Miami fan, just go jump off a bridge somewhere at this point. I don't know what you're still hanging on for. You couldn't beat us in football. You're supposed to have the best basketball team in the ACC. You can't beat us in basketball. You just can't beat us in life. It is what it is, man. It sucks. I know. It is what it is. You guys, it's kind of miserable, You guys went on. We were 0-3 in a year against the university. So I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you. It's funny how last year you guys didn't care about basketball. This year you have a solid team, and now the whole Miami fan base all of a sudden cares about basketball all of a sudden. So it is what it is. Let's hit a roll call, man. I got 20 people in here. I don't know how many people we got actually going to end up with. But we got 20 for now. So I got Brandon B in the building. Mr. Wolf, SpongeBob Master OG. Kind of like that name. FSU Tony. Jalen, Priscilla, Chad, Firewater, Marcus Lewis, No-Blooded, FSU Tony, a member of the 863 tribe. Anthony Sanders, Todd Pope, Frederick Williams. Tyler Hedden, member of the 863 Tribe. Noel Squad, and D. Thompson in the building. So, yeah, man. Like I said, I know we had a decent recruiting weekend. Don't know what's going to come of it. Still early in that process. Red Solo Cup. It's like, we got some people in here, man, that I ain't never seen before. Unless y'all are just changing y'all's names around. Like Red Solo Cup, man. What's good with you? I don't know if you're new or you just I've never seen that name before. I don't think I've seen you before, Frederick. You say you a Canes fan, so shout out to you. But you say you know, coming from a diehard Canes fan, I really enjoy watching the show. Big things are happening for my team. Go Canes. Well, that first part of your comment is, I appreciate that, man, and I appreciate that you tune in and check me out. That last part of that comment, though, no hard feelings. And then the SpongeBob OG guy. Never seen you before either. Again, I don't know if y'all are just changing y'all's names around or if y'all if y'all are new in here. So shout out to the new people, man. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe to that channel as always. Noel Squad in the building. No Squad, you're not blocked. If you're blocked, you couldn't comment. So you're not blocked at all, obviously, because I see you. Whoops. Oh, hold on. No, I won't do that. Okay. Rose DF, what's up with you? What y'all got going on this Sunday, man? Joe Johnson, James Timmons, and appreciate everybody who is in the chat. No Squad, you were never blocked. I'm the only one. Well, I'm not the only one that can block, but people who are blocked for a reason. You're not blocked, man. You were put in timeout, I think, by somebody, but you're not blocked. Let it go. It happened. Let it go. I heard that fight was boring. I didn't watch it, but I heard it was boring. I was watching the football games last night. I watched Green Bay piss down their leg at the last minute. I was watching that game. So yeah, man, you got questions? Go ahead. Again, I got no news, y'all. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. We can just hit it, chop it up, chat a little bit. Don't know how long I'm gonna be. Might go an hour, 30 minutes. Nothing too long, nothing too crazy. Just want to touch base with the people. But yeah, if you got questions, put them in there. And if you got questions like about recruiting and the transfer portal, all I can do is speculate. If you got like more football oriented questions, that's kind of my lane. That's kind of my lane. But Mayan King says, when did JT Daniels visit? Is he supposed to visit? Is there a relationship there? I haven't heard much. BB, how you doing? Top 3 or 5 candidates you'd like to see get the FSU job if Mike doesn't make a bowl game again this year. I've been on the Aranda bandwagon from the jump. So Dave Aranda is my number 1, number 2, number 3 candidate. I'm really not even looking anywhere else. But if I had to pick one, he's my defensive guy. If I had to pick an offensive guy, I don't know. Maybe need to do more of a thought process on that one. I mean, like a guy like Lane Kiffin would be the obvious answer, but would Lane Kiffin leave Ole Miss for Florida State? I don't know if you can say that. So I don't know. Offensively, I haven't put much thought into it. But 1, 2, 3, Aranda. That's me. Somebody said Tyler said the undercards were really good. Yeah, but I heard the main event was boring though. I won 20 on that game yesterday. Basketball. Go Noles. Hope Cam and Ramsey have big games. I'm pulling for the Rams as always. I'm pulling for the Noles. I don't think he's visiting. Probably for the best. Don't need him. Where are you moving to? The end. I should end up in Texas. Let's put it like that. Do I think Buckley will join FSU's staff? I would like for him to reach out and just to see if Buckley would be interested. Why not? I mean, I think obviously the main staff is kind of in place as far as your on-field coaches have all kind of been solidified up until this point. But you got to replace, Randy Shannon was an on-field analyst. Sabbath Joseph was another one. Could you get Terrell Buckley in one of those roles? I think that would be really cool, a really big, a really good move if, obviously Buckley's a DB coach. You're not going to bring in Buckley to replace Charles Woodson. However, if you can bring Buck in to be that off-the-field analyst type, and who knows? I mean, Charles Woodson is a guy who, if he keeps recruiting the way he's going to recruit at that DB position, right? He's been one of our top 2 recruiters past couple years. Another team may try to pay big money to come scoop him up. Well, that helps you. You bring T Buck on as an analyst. Woodson can go on and explore further options if that comes. And now, T Buck to the DB coach is a seamless transition. I think it's a smart move. I think it makes too much sense. But we'll see if, I don't know if T-Buck and Norvell have a relationship or, I don't know. I don't know. But if it was me, obviously, I would. Polk, do you believe Burton would go to Bama over us? I mean, let's think about it, Jalen. If you're Burton, and first of all, forget if it's Burton or whoever. If you're a wide receiver, and Burton has big time proven production and all of that, you're a wide receiver, and you look at the wide receiver room, and you look at who that quarterback is at Bama, and you look at that, and you say, And we saw when Bama lost their primary receiver in the national championship game, we saw how, I don't want to say lackluster, but how the other guys weren't quite ready to step up to the plate and pick up the slack, like a Jai Hall and some of those guys. I mean, Burton to Bama makes too much sense. The problem with Florida State is they've already signed 4 receivers in the portal. There's only so many balls you can go around. How much does Burton look at Travis? I mean, and have faith? Does he think Duffy is the future? I think just from a non-biased perspective, if I was a receiver, especially a receiver who's in the portal, not so much a high school recruit, but a receiver in the portal, and you just lined up the 2 programs side by side, forget about wins and all of that. Just, I'm a receiver. I want to play in a team that's going to pass the ball and a quarterback that's going to get me the ball. I think Bama's the obvious choice. Should Miami dissolve all athletics? They haven't beaten us in the big 3 sports in the past year. If I was Miami, I'd give up. I'd give up on this point. I'd give up, man. Nope, haven't heard nothing. Last things I was hearing is that Dugans is probably going to be retained. I don't think Odell was ever going to get necessarily let go. I always thought Odell would be back. But we're just like the last week of January, so there should be some news popping up here on an extension or whatever the case is. Who do I think our starting receivers are going to be? I think Winston Wright's in the mix there. McLean, Winston Wright. If we just do the top 3, I think it's McLean, Winston Wright, and probably Pittman. I think Ontario Wilson's gonna compete though for one of those that third spot with either Pittman. Ontario Wilson or Pittman are gonna compete for that third spot. I think Pittman obviously is gonna be your primary punt returner. But I think Ontario Wilson's in the mix there in that third spot. I don't think it's just flat out give it to Micah Pittman, to be fair, because to be fair, Ontario Wilson, just from a statistical comparison, has actually been more productive than Michael Pittman. So I don't know if you can just dismiss Ontario Wilson like that. Plus, I think you kind of got to give JT a wide receiver that he has some chemistry with in that starting lineup. McLean's in his second year, so he should have some chemistry there. He's going to have to build that with Winston Wright over this spring and summer. And but Ontario Wilson, JT's been throwing to Ontario Wilson for the last 2-3 years. So I think Ontario Wilson is going to be in the mix. I have one. You think there's any chance FSU will leave the ACC within 5 years? Ooh. Barring some type of major buyout, I would say no. Meaning, unless the SEC really decides to put a stranglehold on college football, I would say no. So unless the ACC was to come roaring and be like, you know what? Did I say ACC or SEC? I think I meant SEC if I said ACC. But if the SEC comes in and says, you know what? Let's put a stranglehold on this thing. We got Texas, Oklahoma. Obviously, we got the Bamas and the Georgias and the Floridas and the Auburns. Let's just lock down the entire Southeast. And obviously, Florida State wouldn't go by themselves. They would probably go with a Clemson. Then, and obviously the SEC would have to pitch in money to buy out that grant of rights or whatever. So unless either that or some of the other major programs, like we had talked about this months ago with the Ohio States and the Michigans, unless some other major programs wanted to like join forces, like the Avengers, to combat the mighty bad SEC. But they would also have to be supplying some of that buyout. So unless something crazy like that was to happen, I think ACC is our home at least for the next 5 to 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Cuban Jesus has 25 silent commits. Jeff Libby, Mark Stoops, Dave Aranda. I wouldn't be mad at Mark Stoops. I wouldn't be mad at that. Polk. What's up, Todd? Todd says, I know the Noles have the best portal. I think actually LSU is ranked number 1 in the portal. It's funny, like, to speak on that point, I hear people criticizing FSU's overuse of the portal, and I'm thinking to myself, but LSU's doing it. Why is nobody criticizing Brian Kelly for hitting the portal hard? You know, why is nobody criticizing? I mean, nobody criticized. I always forget his name. Your boy over there at Michigan State, who pretty much built that team out of the portal. So, but I think they're top 3 in the actual rankings. What do you think Florida and Miami are better positioned with coaching? And not until games get played, you can't really say that. So I don't know, no-blooded. I think games, as always, have to be played. I mean, if you want to just go off the off-season, I think Napier seems to have put together – this is what I'll say about Billy Napier positively. I really don't have a lot of negative things to say about Napier, except that I think Florida might have outbid themselves. I don't know why they decided that they needed to pay a G5 coach out of Louisiana, who I don't think was being vetted by a bunch of schools why they wanted to go $8 million for him. I think the actual number is like 7.5, but still that's a lot of money for Napier. But at least Napier seemed to have entered Florida with a plan in place, and he's executing his plan. Whether the plan comes to fruition and successful, again, games got to be played, right? But at least he seems to have a vision and is going about it the proper way. As far as Miami goes, shout out to the positive thing about Miami is that they keyed on their guy, and they pulled out all the stops to get him, regardless of what I might think of the coach. Again, my opinion on that coach hasn't changed. I thought the same thing about Mario even before he became the Miami head coach. He's mediocre. He's average at best. The fact that he hasn't filled out a staff yet is I don't know what that means. I find it kind of worrisome, but it seems like that's kind of been Miami's thing this entire offseason process. Is everything's been last minute. I mean, instead of getting rid of Diaz, they let him be a dead man walking for 3 months before they finally pulled the trigger on Mario. And now with this offense, OC, it's like every person that's reported, Miami insiders swear to God that they weren't offered. Kendall Browns, nope, he wasn't really offered. Joe Brady wasn't really offered. Then Toledo wasn't offered. It's like, so it's either one of two things. If either you're a Miami fan and you're okay with your head coach not trying to get an OC, because like, how's he the head coach and he's not offering anybody any jobs? To me, that doesn't make any sense. It's like you're trying to save face, like nobody would deny us, nobody would turn us down. We're just not offering. I think it's a bit ridiculous and a bit stupid, quite honestly, to think that way. But it's my opinion there. And as far as DC, I haven't heard anything. Like I don't even know who they're targeting for their DC spot. And they just lost their DB coach to Bama, so I don't know what's going on there with Miami. To be honest with you, it seems like Miami's philosophy is we got Mario. He's going to recruit a bunch of guys, and that having talent will trump whatever lack of coaching we have. And I think that is kind of ridiculous, but we'll see how that plays out for them. Have you given up on Mike? No, I haven't given up on Mike. And as long as he's here, I can't give up on him. No, I haven't given up on him. We're talking about whatever a rat. Just a question answer, bro. I don't really got much. I just want to reach out to the people, reach out to y'all, and talk to y'all for a good little minute because it's been a while since I've been on here. So whatever questions you got or just want to make a comment, bro, that's what we're doing today. That's what we're doing today. 54 people in here, man. Hit that like button. Francis out wrestled game and completely tore MCL and messed up ACL. Ooh, that is crazy, man. I think Florida is a better position than Miami. I would agree with that. Again, I don't know how Napier is going to do. And I've made jokes about Napier trying to bring all the Louisiana kids to Gainesville. But at least he seems to have a plan in place. You feel me? At least he seems to have a plan. He's executing said plan. I don't know what the hell Mario's got going on, but maybe Mario's got a master plan that we just don't know about. I mean, all the Miami fans think they know, so maybe they do. Miami doesn't need an OC. They have a Heisman winner, Van Dyke, and better skilled players than Ohio State, Bama. Yeah, that's their logic. What up, Miguel? That's probably where he gonna end up too. Let me catch up in the chat a little, guys. So here, Todd Popeman's question. Do you think they need to recruit more linebackers? I mean, obviously. They only signed one. The last 2 years, they've signed two. One's not on the team anymore. So, I mean, bingo. You feel me? The last 2 years, your linebacker signings, your last 2 years have been what's the buddy name? I forgot his name that quick. Jordan Eubanks. He's not even on the team anymore. And Omar Graham. Nice player. We'll see we'll remain to see how he develops and what he turns into. Again, I'm just getting up in the chat, y'all. POLK, will Miami have a top 5 recruiting class? I don't know. You tell me. You're a Miami fan. I haven't been following Florida State's recruiting class for 2023. So, again, games have to be played as they say. I think that honeymoon period with Mario is what it is. It's going to be a honeymoon period. He's home. He's, He's back on the block, so to speak. But Mario's notoriously known to drop games he shouldn't. And as of right now, if you're a 2023 recruit, obviously Miami's not going to go into Miami's not going to go into fall. Hell, Miami's not going to go into spring with no OC or no DC, obviously. But, I mean, if I'm a recruit, I still don't know what we're running here. You know, what's the offense? What type of offense? Mario Cristobal is known for being a guy who likes to run the football. He's a run-first head coach. Does Van Dyke take a step back under Mario? Like, there's a lot of questions. I think there's a lot more questions from Miami than Florida, man. A lot of that has to do with Mario. He hasn't answered any questions because he ain't signed an OC or a DC yet. So that's just me. Gator Hater was good. I don't necessarily agree with that, Gator Hater, for the simple fact Texas, SEC came calling for Texas, and what has Texas won in the last time Texas was good, they had Colt McCoy. That was more than 10 years ago, right? That was like 2010. When did Texas play Bama in the national championship? Wasn't that like 10? I believe that was 2010, 2009, somewhere around there. Like, and Texas has not been good since. As a matter of fact, Texas just finished last year with the same record as Florida State, and it hasn't stopped the SEC from coming to call Texas. So I don't necessarily agree with that. These brand names mean something. You bring the brand name of Texas to the SEC, pockets fill up. I think the same thing would happen if you bring the brand name of Florida State and Clemson. I must be really far back in these comments, y'all. Forgive me. Let me catch up. What up with you? Literally, Troy came to Gainesville. Hey, you gotta get that Florida talent. I don't blame him. He's been rumored to Oklahoma State even before he left Auburn. So I don't think Miami was ever really getting that. Hey, Rat asks everybody a question. Do y'all like the extension of the playoffs? I'm probably in the minority, but I like it. I know some people don't, but I like it, man. More football, the better, in my opinion. Absolutely, I think. I think you listen to I think if you listen to anybody who's anybody at this point, they all tell you, man, if he drops the ball next year, there's no saving him. Exactly. It's not like I have an affinity for Mike. I could care less, to be quite honest with you. But I want Mike to do good because that means Florida State is good. What's up, Kilo? How you doing? I'm not putting that garbage on my screen, though. But what's up with you, Kilo? What up, Chris Robinson, Orlando? I want to check in. What's going on with you? Man, I've lived in Texas before, Joe. I ain't scared of them Longhorn fans or the Aggie fans, to be honest with you. To me, I still think 8. To me, I want you to look at next year's schedule. Look at the fact that you're replacing North Carolina with Virginia Tech. Because you play Louisiana. You play y'all always get me every time I pronounce the team, but Doomquist or Doom whatever. You're playing them, okay? Miami, Florida will still be in transitions. The only thing about Florida that's always tricky is that's always the last game. So whatever problems they're going to face in the early part of the year, you're going to assume they have it fixed by the end of the year. So Florida's always going to be tricky. I don't even know when we necessarily play Miami. I think Clemson has came back down. Is Wake really going to put together two back-to-back 10-win seasons? I mean, let's be honest. Let's be real there. I mean, bruh, the ACC to me next year is just as wide open as it was this year, in my opinion. I just look at the schedule, and if you can peep out 6 or more losses, forget the win. Show me 6 or more guaranteed losses, then you got it. I think 8 wins is more than feasible. 8 wins should be a minimum, but that's me. That's my optimism. For real, Polk, I want to know what you think about the hot word parity does for college football. I don't know if there's ever going to be real parity in college football. It's not like the NFL, and it's not like the good, like check the history of college football. There's a reason why there's a term in college called blue bloods. Because Michigan, the Michigans, the Bamas, Ohio States, like they're always going to be there. They always have been there. I still would like to see a 12-team playoff. Duquesne. See, I always say it wrong. Somebody always gets me on it. When's the last time we won our season opener? Is Ole Miss the last time we won a season opener? I think Ole Miss might legit. I think that was wasn't that 2016? I think Ole Miss might be legit last time we won a season opener. I could be wrong there, but I feel like Ole Miss is the last time we won a season opener. And I think I've caught up in the comments. So good. Money wasn't equally distributed ever in college. Difference of opinion, but parity on college football comes down to colleges keeping in-state players at home. California, Florida, and Texas improve. But it's never happened. Like that's always been my thing with that argument about, we got to keep guys home. None of those states you just mentioned keep their guys home. None of them, and they never have. Texas doesn't get all the Texas kids. Texas A&M is as hot as you can be right now. And even they're going to Florida and getting guys and passing over kids in their own state. Florida has never kept all the kids home. California, I mean, you're talking about 3 states that are too big to keep all the kids home. You know what I mean? So I just don't think it'll ever happen. And a lot of the top players in the country, a lot of times, they have, especially when you're talking about these Texas, Florida, and California. I mean, you're talking about retirement states. Now, in terms of Florida and California, they're more expensive places to live, but usually people that are retiring and living in those states are already well off with money. I mean, you got your ex-football players. They all seem to retire into Florida or California. And that's why you get their kids going to these top schools, and then they go on, and your Ohio State kids, your Chris Carter's son goes to Ohio State, but he played at St. Thomas. The Bosas, like that stuff happens. As far as Texas goes, Texas is actually one of the cheaper places to live, and that's why a lot of people move there as well. Well, see, here's the thing. I want to expand the playoffs, but I want there to be rules. My whole thing with the playoffs is rules, meaning conference. In each conference would only get 1 at large. So in this past year, Georgia and Bama would both have been in the playoff because Georgia would have been in that large. I'm okay with being in that large team, but now you got to be an 8th seed or whatever the case, and you got to play one of the top teams off the jump. That's my thing. And my playoff format, no. SEC at most would have two teams. You win your conference, you get a guaranteed bid into the playoff. Your record and resume will speak for an at-large team, but the conference championship gets you automatic bid. point blank, period. You do an 18 playoff, you got a Power 5, that's 5 conference championships, that's 5 guaranteed spots, 3 at-larges. That's how it works for me. Scholarship limitation is somewhat initiated parity, but on every small scale, as you say, top programs are almost always going to be the upper shelf. NIL might bring a bit more too. Yeah, I parity, man, it's hard to see. It's hard to see. I think the college football playoff should include champions of each Power 5. Yeah. So me and Joe right on the same page there. Don't just give me 8 teams with the 8 best records, because then, you might get 3 or 4 SEC teams in there. Nope. You win your conference, that's how you get in. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then and that also limits the committee. Then you get a committee, and you'll determine 3 at-larges. I feel like expanding the playoff will make the regular season less exciting. Teams would know they can win the conference and still get in. But even then, my rebuttal to that firewater is, look at the conferences across the country. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, because we've seen it happen, but how many conference champions in college football are losing 4 or 5 games? It doesn't usually happen. Your conference champion is still probably going to be a 1 or 2 loss team, right? So to me, it still makes, because you have your own conference championships, to me, it still makes every game mean just as much, in my opinion. You still got to win those games week by week. You can't lose 3 or 4 games on your side of the bracket in your conference and expect to make your conference championship to even get a chance to be in the playoff. I'd be cool with that too. I'd be cool with that. I think that's kind of. I think the only problem I have with what you're saying, Lion King, is that 8th seed. Like, we talking about 18 playoff, and in that case, the 8th seed is at a huge disadvantage, not in terms of home field, but the home teams in the college football, the revenue of playing at your home stadium in an 8th seed playoff. If you're number 1 and you're guaranteed that home, now granted, an 8th seed can pull an upset, but if you're the bottom seed, no matter how many upsets you pull, you're never going to get that opportunity to play in your stadium. And I think that's not fair in terms of the money, unless there's a agreement to split the money. But how many teams are going to say, I'm going to pack out Doak Campbell Stadium in a playoff run, and I'm going to split my revenue with you? No, that's not usually how that works. Now, maybe there's a flat fee that a team could play, but even then, it's like, why would I pay $1 million for Michigan as an 8 seed to come into Doak Campbell and play? No, I'm not going to pay you $1 million. I might pay $1 million to an FCS school, but I'm not going to pay that to Michigan. I almost feel like the neutral site games would be better, because from a revenue standpoint, your lower seeds are going to be missing out on a lot of extra money that they could get. Whereas on the neutral site games, that's a fixed, a fixed split between those 2 programs. I think that makes much more sense, in my opinion. What up, EMG? You got 56 watch, you're blowing 32. Hey, EMG, tell them again, man. We got 59 people in the building, man. Get the likes up. Get my likes up, please. I've said that ever since they went to the Power 5 model. It makes too much sense, though, so they won't do it. That term parity will change for teams making the playoffs to teams making the championship. The Blue Bloods or regulars will still be in the chip, pretty much. Either way, it's only going to be 4 elite number 1 seeds, teams that can really win it, and the other 8 won't be close to them, just 2 or 3, maybe 4 lost teams. Just add more hype, but not better games. Those NIL deals that the Miami players have signed are big for this year and for years to come. The drama we have now in college football would be meaningless. No conference games would be meaningless. Non-conference games. To me, that meaningless word is a strong word. But I don't think Florida State and LSU, it's still going to be a big game for people. Like, Miami, Texas A&M, people are still going to go pack stadiums and watch those games. If college fans are so different, and in turn, just having those bragging rights make those games meaningful, in my opinion. I think I think meaningless is a harsh term. I can see what you're saying, like, hey, you can lose that conference game and still win your conference. But isn't it like that already? It's like that already. To be honest with you, put like hypothetically, if Bama would have lost to Miami week 1, but then had the same season they had minus losing to A&M again, right? So they lose to Miami week 1, and they would have reeled off 12 straight or whatever the case may be. Beat A&M, beat Georgia, they still would have been in the playoff. So that was is that game meaningless? Kind of meaningless, isn't it? By that term, by that definition, that game was meaningless. It was just a bragging right game. It's no different. It'd be the same way in an 18 playoff. It'd be the same thing in an 18 playoff. You lose your out of conference game. It's practically like that now, especially if you're a big name team. If you're Bama, you can lose that conference. All you gotta do is win the SEC. Why does Bama get to be the only team? Or let's put it like this: why is the SEC the only conference where, as long as you win the conference, you're guaranteed a playoff spot? So it's already like that. Why not make it like that for everybody? At least that's the way I look at it. That's the way I look at it. Because Florida just got a Texas tight end to commit. We said the same thing about bowl season when the playoffs was introduced. Bragging rights was all we needed back in the day. The love of the game. Now bowl season is irrelevant just that quick. Bowl season's irrelevant because the masses, or the structure power makes it. Isn't it funny that COVID canceled a bunch of meaningless bowl games? But you mean to tell me in the most highly populated areas in this country, Miami and Georgia, Atlanta, where these playoff games happened, that there was no threat of a COVID cancellation? Because the mighty dollar rules, it was never about COVID. The only reason the bowl games are meaningless is because the power structure has made the bowl games meaningless. The fans still want to watch it. Fans still want it. It's only meaningless because the people tell you it's meaningless, and they treat the bowl games like it's meaningless. It is divided, bro. That's my exact point of the same top teams make it either way. Just have those top teams play. Well, but here's my thing. Anything happens on any given Saturday, though. Anything can happen on any given Saturday. I mean, it's easy to say that 9 times out of 10, yeah, probably. But who's to say one year Boise State don't shock the world? We've seen it. We've seen it in bowl games in the past where a team can shock the world. Stuff happens. Oh, Napier pulled another 3-star, but his tape looks good. Facts. The media coined the term meaningless, but it's not something we can ignore anymore. It bled into our sport. BB doesn't think the tape looks good, Chad. Unless he's talking about something else. Unless BB's talking about something else, but I don't know. Coastal Carolina Liberty shocked everybody. It can happen. Brian Walters in the building. Appreciate that $5 donation. I don't have my videos, Brian, so you got to excuse me. Hold on. Actually, I might. Give me a second. Let me read your comment. If you had to choose 6 wins and a bowl win, with wins against Florida and UM and Clemson, or 8 wins, but it's all I hate questions like this because Either way, I appreciate the question, but let me do this. I appreciate that question, man, but
more money, more money.
I can't fathom a scenario. Here's my thing, man. I can't fathom a scenario where you can beat Florida, UN, and Clemson, but only win 6 games. That's half of your games. So that means your other 3 are, I don't know, Georgia. Let's say the other 3 were easy games: Georgia Tech, Louisiana, and Dunquise. Or, I always mess Dunquise. And you lost the other 6 games on your schedule to Boston College, who you beat questions like that, man, I hate it. I will say, to answer the question, if I had to choose, you said 6 wins and a bowl win, and I got to beat Florida, Miami, and Clemson. I mean, I guess I would take that. Yeah, I guess I would take that because and even that's tough because then the 8 wins. Okay, 8 wins is cool, but you're falling behind a recruit in Florida, There's no way Norvell could survive another FCS loss to Dunquise, or you can't lose to the Raging Cajuns or Dunquise for that matters. Give me the first choice. What up, Irv? Remember the 863 tribe? Let's get off the playoff expansion talk. Shit's killing my buzz. Should have brought it up. Does FSU have the best recruiting class in the state at the moment? I think they got the highest rated. Best is in the eye of the beholder. I think certain positions FSU killed it at. I mean, yeah, I'll say yeah, sure. Why not? Who else has the better recruiting class? And when we say class, we're talking class as a whole. So who in the state of Florida has signed a better quarterback, a better O-line, probably a better secondary than Florida State? That would be my question. So 3 of those positions, I think they nailed. O-line, quarterback, and your secondary guys. They missed on linebacker. And I would say they did a solid job on the D-line. They could have did better on the D-line, but I will say they did a solid job on the defensive line. And they added a couple project guys. I forgot about that. LSU games on that schedule too. But again, they're in the midst of a transition themselves. And then this is going to be Norvell's 3rd year going against Brian Kelly. If you can't figure him out in the 3rd chance, come on, Mike. The schedule's out there, Noel Squad. Schedule's already out there. We just been asking random questions, man. We can't have an expanded playoff with different rules for everybody. I got that. It's not NFL, but that makes no sense. And somebody said UCF has a better recruiting class than Florida. I think Miami and Florida are both in the 30s now. So at least they're not, they made a step in the right direction. Who do we play week 5? I don't know. I don't have the schedule up, but I know the schedule's out there. I know at least majority of the games have already had a scheduled date, and again, it's locked up. So unless they might have to add a team, but the majority of the schedule's out there. Brian Kelly going to be the real deal in a couple of years, I promise you. I go to Bama, but I know Kelly is a hell of a coach. I don't necessarily agree with that for the simple fact is I don't know if Kelly and Louisiana kids are going to really mix there. It's going to be interesting to see. Good luck to them, I guess. We talked a little bit about Clemson and Florida State going to the ACC. Not so much the Paul Feinbaum comments, but we pretty much spent this whole first hour talking about playoff expansion and Florida State and Clemson possibly leaving the conference, stuff like that. One thing that annoys me is these players committing to one HBCU. There's playing more HBCUs, and the team, they're bandwagoning to literally lost South Carolina State. They need to spread out. Well, see, that's the thing about that conversation that is so funny to me. People are making it an HBCU thing. Like we had a discussion about this a few weeks ago. And it was on trip. We had the triple shot on a Friday night. I had Jurg on here, and the question I posed was simple. Like some people are saying, "Oh, this is great for HBCUs," and my personal opinion was, "Is it though? Is it great for HBCUs?" The reason I asked that is kind of like what you just said. Everybody going to one school, it's great for Jackson State, but is it great for the entire? It's not going to be great for HBCUs unless somebody can compete with that. If everybody's just going to go to Jackson State, then what is it doing? Because when Deion leaves, if he leaves, Jackson State probably goes back to what it was. I think I don't know if it's much as a HBCU talk as it's trying to be made out to be. I think this is a Jackson State thing. Until you see other HBCUs, listen, Eddie George coaches in the HBCU ranks. I think Hugh Jackson got a job recently. There are other programs and other coaches in the HBCU, but none of them are doing what Deion's doing. Deion's a little bit different of a breed. I get that. But until Eddie George can pull, Eddie George, one of the, won't go that far, but was a damn good running back in his time, right? Can he pull a 5-star running back? You know, can we do those things? Like, until other teams start doing what Jackson State's doing, I don't know if it boosts the overall. Put it like this: what's that team that has won the FCS title? Like, is it like South Dakota State? Why hasn't and they've also produced NFL players at South Dakota State. They've dominated that league for 10 years. They won like 7 national championships in 10 years. You guys know this team we're talking about. They're like green and yellow. I think Trey Lance came from there, and some other guys have come from there and play in the NFL. Has that boosted the popularity of FCS? Has anybody competed with them on the same level? They get all the talent. They dominate the league. I think it's no different than that in Jackson State. It sounds good. We think it's going to, help out HBCUs, but is it really going to help out HBCUs? Not if it's just Jackson State. Unless someone's there to counter, unless there's like I say in wrestling, unless there's a baby face and a heel, you just got one team and, okay, cool, but that's it. Deion himself made an HBCU discussion. He said he's trying to even the playing fields to show high school players they can make it a league at HBCUs just like D1. He's straight selling hype. My thing is with elite players going to D2, the top players will still go to the NFL just based on film, regardless of comp. But the good players will be subjected to scrutiny. Travis Hunter started something we don't fully understand yet. I think it remains to be seen what Travis Hunter started, if he started anything. I said this before with Hunter. He has, for his sake and for what you're saying, right? Something that we don't understand yet. If Hunter goes down there and he puts up just video game type numbers, then maybe he opens the way. But if Hunter goes down there and he just looks like a good college football player, I don't know what he really started. I don't know what he really started. Yeah, North Dakota State is what I'm talking about. Whoever I was, yeah. You guys know what I'm talking about, man. They've been dominating the FCS level for years, but why hasn't a team emerged to counteract them? How come they haven't brought up the product of their competition? They just dominated. I don't think it's any different. So you say that, but will they? Why haven't the other teams done it? I don't. You can't bank on that. Guys that go play for Dion, we know that. If it was all about money, I mean, I don't know, man. Why doesn't Howard have a good football team? And somebody like there's HBCUs that have a solid financial backing. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure they will recruit to hang with Jackson State. I think that's like a hope. What is that? That trickle down effect that we talk about. But if I'm a top prospect, do I want to go play at Alabama A&M and potentially compete with Jackson State, or can I just go to Alabama and do what I've always been doing? I think the HBCUs will begin to benefit from transfer portal more than high school recruiting. I think that's the quickest turnaround for them. But again, Brother Brooklyn, member 862 Tribe, what's up with you? Look at what's happening in the portal. Kids are transferring out of your HBCUs to test their might at the D1 level. That's what Marcus Cushney did. He dominated that level. Then he decided, okay, I'm going to transfer to Florida State. Realized he wasn't Florida State caliber, then transferred to UMass. Who Alabama and A&M might be a better program than UMass if we're being serious. But the portal, HBUs might be able to pick up on kids that other D1 schools are kind of throwing by the wayside, and I hate to kind of say it like that, but I don't know, man. I don't know. You're saying give it time, but you're just going to have to, yeah, we can give it time. But again, North Dakota State's been doing this for 10 plus years, and nothing's changed in that division other than the fact that they're dominant and everyone else is just second fiddle. Time is great in a sense, but again, recruit me tell me, why should I go if, again, not just the average high school player who doesn't have a lot of offers. If I'm Travis Hunter 2.0 in 2025, why should I go to Grambling to compete with Jackson State, who Jackson State has had these years and Deion's built something over there? Why do I need to go to Grambling to compete with that when I am still the number one player in the country and I can go to Bama, I can go to Georgia, I can go to Florida, I can go to Oklahoma, Texas, Florida State? Why? Is Grambling going to improve their infrastructure to the point where when I go take a visit to Oregon, I'm not blown away by everything they have there? A lot of these HBCUs have like elite alumni, but they don't invest in their programs like that. This is a bigger discussion on HBCUs than just the football players, man. That's why I don't think this stuff that Deion's doing, and this isn't a knock on Deion. I have applauded Deion from day one. Even when he got Travis Hunter, he did his thing. I have not been negative on Deion once, but this isn't an HBCU thing. This is a Jackson State thing and a Deion thing. But there's a lot more obstacles for HBCUs than just we got to get players. That's what I was just talking about, fire and water. In 2025, can you pick the number one recruit in the nation and get him to go to Grambling or South Carolina A&T or wherever? Can you do it? If you can do that, then we can start having this discussion. But one team loading up on a bunch of transfer portal guys and Kevin Coleman and Travis Hunter doesn't shift the bar for or doesn't make the HBCUs or whatever we're trying to make them at this point. Still early, but wins list for 9 wins. Anyone you would remove. Wins are Duquesne, LSU, Louisiana, BC, Georgia Tech, Louisville, Miami, NC State, Cuse. Anyone you would add from the rest. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wow. Think about that. That's 9 wins without having to beat Florida, Clemson, or Wake Forest. So I like what you did there. I can't argue with much. Obviously, I think LSU will be a toss-up. LSU will be the first real test of the season. We'll see what this team is in the LSU game. You beat BC, Georgia Tech, Louisiana, Duquesne. Those are Syracuse. Like, those are 5 guaranteed. Guaranteed is always tough to say, but those are 5 wins, and I'm comfortable with really predicting those. Duquesne, Louisiana, Boston College, Georgia Tech, Cuse. Louisville, Cunningham's still there, right? That'll be an interesting game. Mike's got to find a way to get over the Louisville hump. That would give you 6. NC State probably should have won that game had we had a quarterback 7, and then Miami. Yeah, we're probably going to beat those bums again. So I like that. I like those 9. I like those 9. And then, of course, if you can, I think Clemson. I'll be interested, man. I might substitute. A part of me would say substitute Clemson for NC State because NC State's returning their quarterback, if I'm not mistaken. I think Florida State will have a better overall roster going in, and Clemson comes to FSU next year. So I might substitute Clemson for NC State. NC State's always a tough game, man. It's always a tough game. So I might substitute Clemson for NC State. And then, again, Wake is still a question mark to me. I know they had a good season, but can they put 2 together back-to-back? And, of course, Florida, that's the last game of the season. We'll see there. I think the HBU movement would work way better in basketball. I'm with you there. But because we've seen in basketball, small schools, Gonzaga dominates basketball year after year. You know, we know small schools. I agree with you there. Because the expectations are completely different, bro. That's why. Travis Hunter is going to be expected game 1 next year to play both positions, receiver and corner. He's probably going to be expected to have 100 yards receiving, at least an interception, and at least 2 or 3. Like, seriously, those are going to and those are going to be the legit expectations of this kid, game week in and week out down there. And when he has that game where he has only 50 yards receiving, when he has that game where somebody's breaking a tackle of his or running him over and getting into the end zone or mossing him on those guys are still college football players down there. And they have egos and they have pride and they're not just going to let this dude come in there and think that he can just do what he wants. And when he has those moments, the criticism is going to be a lot harsher than had he just went to Georgia or Florida State or wherever. Because he goes to one of those programs, like you say, a lot of guys redshirt, a lot of 5-stars redshirt. No one's expecting. They expect a lot from him, but no one would be shocked if you go to, like, Marvin Jones Jr. Somebody asked me a couple of weeks ago on, I think my last live stream I did before I left, someone asked me who's going to have more sacks, Jarrett Verse or Marvin Jones Jr. Marvin Jones Jr. might not even see the field year one at Georgia. But no one's going to say, oh, Marvin Jones is a bust. That's expected. It's expected for Travis Hunter to go to Georgia or Florida State and not necessarily come off and be the guy from the jump. But at that level, he's going to have to be Deion Sanders, his coach, on defense, and Randy Moss on offense, or it's going to look like, same thing with Kevin Coleman, like these guys are going to have to go out there and perform, or it's going to look like whatever. It's going to look like, well, maybe he wasn't all that he was hyped up to be. He put himself in an interesting position, but I hope it worked out for him, but he did put himself in an interesting position. And Shamar Stewart signed with the Canes on February 2nd. In my opinion, we have the third best defensive class in 2022. Shamar Stewart would be a big get, man. I think we're gonna lose at least one or two receivers, Marcus, and I would expect maybe one or two in that secondary. I think after spring we might lose about 4, maybe 5 guys for sure. You said you think Demore Tate. I think it's more likely. Not saying Demore Tate won't leave, but I think it's more likely you see Ronaldo Green buck. Ronaldo Green, I think he bucks in the portal. Again, Gantz, I think he's going to try backer. If it doesn't work out, Gant would be one of my potential picks. And again, I think Jordan Young on the other side of the ball, either Portier or Williamson. I wouldn't expect both, but one of the two, most likely Portier from that wide receiver core. And maybe another DB. I mean, Travis J is a great anomaly. Like, I don't know what's going to become of Travis J. He's another player who I don't know where he fits. So the spring is going to answer a ton of questions for Florida State. Trojan Noel, what's good with you? Go Noles. Norville Central, how you doing, man? How you been? An HBCU movement is college basketball. Honestly, I could have happened. Less players overall, basketball, so few. Not only that, but yeah, like you say, less players. That's what I was getting. Like the less players, bigger impact, in my opinion. He's got to stand in the paint, man. He got his moment, but again, he's put himself in a precarious position where if he's just average, I don't know how that looks for him. He has to definitely be outstanding down there, or people are going to question. They're going to question something. I don't know. Are they going to question the development process down there? I don't know. Yeah, he did. We'll see what Deion pulls out of his hat. If Travis can't start right away at the HBCU, if he can't start at Jackson State game 1, that is interesting. Bust, that's a strong word, but that's kind of, if he can't start at Jackson State year 1 or game 1, I'll say game 1 because I think he'll definitely be on the field year 1. But game 1, how is he going to do at Florida State? You know what I'm saying? You think both will leave? I think one of the two leaves. I don't know if both go though. I think Jordan Young and then one of those two guys leave. P. Diddy is an age, like they I think we're not giving these guys enough credit as some of the millionaires and billionaires that have came from HBCUs. So that's not completely true. Now, your predominantly white schools have obviously been around longer in some cases and have bigger, what's the word I'm looking for, like student bodies or whatever. But it's not like these guys, it's not like there's not people who have made a bunch of money. It's just, what are they investing the money in? Or, that type of deal. Yeah, for real, man. Who are we hating on, Nick? Of course it has a future. It's not going anywhere. Even if that means it turns into semi-pro, which it might, that might happen. Somebody said Jordan Young never leaving. We brought up multiple classes wide receiver since he's been Parchment last year. Only 4. He'll leave if they push him out. He's a program guy. Maybe he realizes if he hit that portal, he ain't got nowhere to go. It's possible. I'm curious to know who we hating on though. I don't know what he needs to do. He ain't getting no burn at safety. He ain't getting no burn at safety. Travis J is not better than Akeem Dent. He's not better than Jamie. He's not better than Sydney. Is he better than Shaheem Brown? We'll see. Oh, and by the way, you got that kid named Sam McCall who's coming. He ain't better than him. I don't know, man. How are we hating on Hunter? By speaking the reality of the situation? I haven't hated on Hunter once. Said I'm happy for him and I hope he succeeds. I'm speaking the reality. The reality is if he doesn't do the hype, if he doesn't live up to the hype, it's not hating, that's realistic. Hating would say he's going to go there and suck. Hating is saying he's stupid for picking JS. Is it JSU or just JU? But whatever. Hating would say he's stupid for picking an HBCU over Florida State. Never said that. Never said that. The reality is, if he goes down there and struggles, people will be looking. He put himself in a precarious situation. That's just reality. That's not hating. He has to go down there and ball, or this whole, put it, bro. The fact is, if he goes down there and he struggles, how many other how many 5-stars are gonna look at that situation and go, yeah, I'm gonna take my talents down there. Look how they messed up Travis Hunter, because that's gonna be the narrative, is that they messed up Travis Hunter. The narrative is going to be, damn, Deion messed Travis Hunter up. Look what happened to him. So I'm not hating on him. I'm just speaking reality. If he goes down there and struggle, that whole HBCU movement comes to a glaring halt. If he goes down there and succeeds, maybe he's opened a can of worms. And even then, I still think that, it remains to be seen who else takes that leap and if they go to other programs, not just Jackson. But I don't think no one is hated on Hunter at all. I'm not hating, just telling the truth. Hope Travis Hunter balls out, hits the NFL, so my Eagles can draft him. But if he doesn't go perfect, the media will. Yeah, exactly. That's the truth. If he's just an average HBCU player or slightly above average HBCU player, that impact's going to die quickly. Same thing with Kevin Coleman. Hunter's the bigger name, so we talk about Hunter, but Coleman's no different. Coleman goes down there and he's not – put it like this. Malachi Wyman is down there, and I think he had like double-digit TD receptions this past year after not even being able to see the field at Tennessee. Now, when it's Malachi Wyman time to declare for the draft, scouts are going to say, you couldn't see the field at D1. You went down there and you scored all these touchdowns. What's the real player here? But at least he's performing, and Wyman's going to give himself a chance to at least have scouts paying him attention. But if Wyman would have went down to Jackson State and had the same stuff happen to him that he was happening at Tennessee, he definitely has a huge target on his back. Again, that's not hating. That's just speaking the truth. That's why we got the portal, my guy. If you don't produce for top-tier schools, you leave. If you go crazy, you go to the top-tier schools for better draft stock. We're the world we're in. Oh, I mean, obviously the games have to be played. We're just speculating on what could come of it. I'm not saying he's one or the other. I'm definitely not saying he's a bust. Don't know yet. But if that's the case, we could say that about everybody. If we can't speak on Hunter, then we can't speak on nobody, because guess what? AJ Duffy and Sam McCall, all of these guys haven't played a game yet. So if that's the case, we can't speak on none of our recruits, because we got to let the season start first. Hunter wouldn't have gotten much hate as he did if he didn't throw our hat. There's some. Again, I never hated on him, so I understand the theatrics of the decision-making process. So, but I understand also that people didn't like that. So, yeah, he down there, and he had like I think he caught like 10, 12 touchdown passes or something like that last year for them. So realistically, it comes down to this: we have to win 4 out of these 7 to get 9. LSU, Louisville, LSU, Louisville, Miami, NC State, Wake, Florida, and Clemson. 4 out of those. So I think obviously the easy ones would say because we're Florida State, you always feel like you should be beating Louisville, NC State, and Wake at a minimum, right? I think just you got to be. So last year we went 1-2 against the rivals. And rivalries, right? We consider Miami, Florida, and Clemson. Even though I don't really look at Clemson as a rival, but a lot of people do. So we'll count Clemson. We went 1-2 against the rivals last year. Yeah, in year 3, Mike can't take a step back. So you got to beat Miami again. Miami with a new head coach. They still don't have an OC. They still don't have a DC. I mean, right? You got to find a way to beat Miami again, and you're getting them at home. No, take that back. You got to go. You got to go to Doak South, so it's okay, right? That's cool. You got it. So you got to beat them at away game. You get Clemson at home, and I think you get Florida at home, if I'm not correct. So yeah, you got to go at least 2-1 against Miami, Florida, and Clemson. At least 2-1 because you get 2 of those at home. So let's just win the home games, right? Okay, maybe. And then again, if you don't take a step back against Miami, you got a good shot, hopefully, to go 3-0. And then I think you catch LSU early, which is a good thing. Which is why I think that's a winnable game because you catch them early. And that could give you 4 right there. But then obviously, like that Wake game, if we didn't have 5 or 6 interceptions, whatever we turned the ball over, we had a fumble in that game, that Wake game got out of hand. Do you think next year we have 6 turnovers against Wake again? Like, man, there's just so many factors. I think you can win 4 out of those 7, man. It better. I hope so. I don't think your defensive front would necessarily be as good, but your back half should be better. You're returning a lot of guys who played good down the stretch in your back half of that defense. Jamie's coming back. He was all ACC. Akeem Dent started finally playing consistent football by the end of the year. Marion Cooper was a revelation at one corner where it was like, man, I understand he was a freshman and they had to work him in, but once he got on the field, it felt like you didn't have to worry about his side of the field. Am I wrong? When Marion Cooper finally got in the game, it almost felt like we didn't have to worry about anybody on his side of the field. Now we just got to get that other side. Again, if you start Fall and Jarvis Brownlee is the starting DB, I think that's a failure. No, I don't want to knock Brownlee like that, but the facts are what the facts are. They got to find someone else opposite of Cooper. I think your safeties are locked. I think Kevin Knowles at nickel is as solid as it gets there. I think your back half of your defense should be your strength this upcoming year. Deloach, his emergence during the back half of the season, him actually looking like a linebacker, played extremely well during the end of the season. Now you're pairing him with the guy in Tatum Bethune, experience, has a lot of experience, a lot of production at the college level. You expect your linebacker. I think I don't know, man. I think that back half of that defense should be better. And I still think the interior of your D-line is your strength. The question is, does McClendon take a step? Does Quayshawn Fuller take a step? How good is Jared Verse? I think he's in the rotation, but is he, he's not going to be Jermaine, so we can get that out of our heads. But can he at least be Keir Thomas to a certain extent? And there's a guy like Patrick Payton, he's my dark horse, right? I even predicted, I'll say it again, I think by the end of the year, Patrick Payton's starting at one of those defensive end spots. But how quickly can they get him implemented? I think there's questions on the defensive end. I think Fabian Lovett and Coop and Briggs. And Briggs is the great wild card on your D-line because I think Briggs can play inside or out wherever he's needed. If you find that your DNs are not where they need to be come the start of the season, you can move Briggs outside. If your DNs are up to par, then you can keep Briggs inside, and now you create some mismatches. You can line Briggs up next to Cooper. I think Briggs is a great wild card to have. So I think your D-line isn't going to be exactly what it was last year, but I don't think the fall off would be dramatic, and that's just by committee. Dunkin' Donuts, is Florida State a team that can beat good teams outside of their conference, such as a USC, Penn State, Texas, Ole Miss at this point? If you can't say yes by next year, Norvell should move on. Well, we're going to find out, right? We're going to find out if they can beat at LSU. Finally winning a game one will be nice. Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. And somebody said the offense has to score points to replace the defensive production. Offense got to score points regardless. Because quite frankly, last year in the multitude of games, the defense did enough to beat Jacksonville State. Defense did enough to win some games last year. And, that offense was not the offense we, I guess, thought we were going to get. And that was due to the quarterbacks and the coaching. Mostly the coaching. I won't even knock the quarterback because it was the coaching's decision to rotate quarterbacks every game. So that's their fault. Quarterbacks were just out there playing. Remember when we had Boise State as a season opener and everybody was calling it an easy win beforehand? The sad part is about that, we started off the game blowing them out. Let's not even talk about that game. Now Duquesne ain't in the same atmosphere as Boise, to be fair, but yeah. Let's not even talk about that game. But you do have to approach Duquesne with respect. And by respect, I mean you throw 60 on them and give up a field goal, maybe. That's how you respect them. The Florida State team versus Notre Dame was a completely different team than the team versus Florida. Let me think about that for a second. That Florida, that Notre Dame game, that defense still was finding itself in that back end. You look at that Louisville game, that Notre Dame game, they had lapses in the secondary that you didn't see by the end of the year. So I don't know. I don't know, was it a completely different team? When they put Travis and Milton on the field at the same time, it was duh, Chad. We know that. That's when we knew they didn't know what the hell they were doing. Hey, put it like this. You can come out there and practice your new stuff. Put 28 on them first. Do that. I don't have a problem with you coming out there and practicing your stuff that you're gonna run the stuff. You're gonna use Duquesne as a game where you're gonna try to run your stuff that you're gonna run against LSU. Better yet, take that back. You're gonna try to not put film for LSU. You're not gonna try to put film on that game for LSU. So you should be running a lot of. You should just be able to out athlete them and run your basics. Now, if you want to put up 30 on them first, then put the backups in and run some funny stuff, I'm okay with that. Yeah. And again, man, hopefully, certain guys, man, we don't see next year that wear number 7. Just saying. How many points did we average this year? That's an interesting question. I don't know how many points did we even average this year. I feel like we had to average in 30 or just below that. I mean, the only games, I'm trying to think. Man, we scored 30-something against Syracuse, 30-something against Notre Dame, 30-something against 31 Miami. I don't know. Were we probably just under 30? I have no problem with Brownlee being a rotational player. Jerry Jones don't even need to be in the 2 deep. Jerry Jones don't even need to be in the 2 deep. I ain't gonna lie to you. What I would like is for Brownlee to move into 2 deep at nickel. That's what I would like, for Brownlee and Knowles to be in the nickel. I think that other corner spot needs to be just rehauled. I don't know if it's Hunter Washington. I don't know if it's Demore Tate. I don't know if it's Travis J. I don't know if it's Isaiah Thomas. Just that other corner out opposite of Amarion need a complete rehaul over there. No squad, you know better than that. Starting corner should be 7. Yeah, no. So we were right under 30. We might have been, I don't know. Greedy Vance. You want Greedy Vance at what, nickel or the other corner? I forgot about Greedy. Greedy's in the mix, though. I mean, you didn't bring him in here for no reason, right? Greedy Vance. There you go. That's what I'm saying, man. That other corner spot has to be completely no Jerry Jones, no Jarvis Brownlee, man. No. No Miko Dotson, even though I think he's graduated. Like, no. And from watching McCall, I really would have to disagree with that. McCall's a safety. He's not a corner. I don't like McCall in that man-to-man type coverage they would be asking him to do. Having a good punt return, kick return should help put more points on the board. Vance is built like Rent, but he can play according to Louisville people. It ain't necessarily about the size. It's about, remember, my knock on Corey Rent has never been his size. It's been, I don't think he's a football player. I think he's a track guy. If Greedy Vance is a football player, hey, Greg Reed wasn't big either. He's our nickel. He's got the nickel on lock. I don't think you need to move Kevin Knoll. I think he's showing that he is excelling in that. And the nickel is a new position. It's not a new position, but it's becoming a far more valued position that you can play the nickel in college and get drafted off of just being a nickel back, because they're doing the same things in the pros with running 3-4 wide receivers. You need 3 good corners, and the nickel is essentially a starter, if we're being honest. So I don't think you need to move. I don't think you need to move Kevin Knowles out of that position. What's this Benson guy gonna do you think? Benson. Oh, this running back. We'll talk about this running back, and then I'm what time is it? Okay, I got about another 30 minutes, and then I'm gonna go hit the gym, y'all. So we got another 30 minutes. I'm gonna go hit the gym. But the running back, is his knees okay? I don't know, man. I think they made. I gotta see him. Let put it like this. My expectations for is it Trey Denson, right? Is that his name? Bless me. Whatever his name is, though. Put it like this, man. My expectations for him is very low, and I just don't expect anything. I'm not saying he's not a good player. I just don't have any expectations. Demore Tate got to take a step. I mean, you hope so. Yeah, I'm all about Azariah Thomas playing the other corner. I like a big corner like that, so I would love it. You know, I got a lot of flack for the Benson stuff on Twitter because I wasn't thrilled with it. And I've heard people defend it. And, of course, our great beat writers, man, the guys that get paid to cover this team, they go above and beyond trying to sell. They try. They're not very good at it, but they will try to sell water to a whale, but it won't work because they're not very good at it. I mean, you got these people telling you that this dude runs a 4.4, and I'm looking at his high school film. And if that's a 4.4, then woof. Put it like this. Dalvin Cook runs a 4.5. And you can't tell because he has football speed. But Dalvin Cook clocked at a 4.5. You compare Benson to Cook, and it's not even – no, he does not have that type of quickness. They see something in him they like. I can't question what they see because I don't necessarily know what they see. But again, a lot of people were really trying to sell this take for Mike for whatever reason. I don't know. It's their opinion. If he comes in and he's successful, awesome. If he doesn't, I don't even think it matters because, again, I was never of the opinion we needed to take a running back. In my opinion, there was always – I think we got a good rotation of backs. You should only take a running back unless you get a guy who's going to make a true difference. He ain't going to make a true difference. So he's just a rotation piece. Maybe, again, I talked about it. Maybe that means another guy is leaving for the transfer portal. You know, that could be the thing. I just don't have many expectations for him. I will say this. The fan police are so funny. It's like you're allowed to criticize. You're not allowed to criticize. It's like you're not allowed to criticize anything these people do, man. It's like you're not allowed to criticize anything these people do. And it's like you have to be all on board for Mike. I saw, man, somebody listen. I don't want to call people dumb, but listen to me, guys. People were trying to justify this take by comparing injuries. I read a comment, and I honestly don't. The comment was so silly that I forgot who commented. But the comment said, Dalvin Cook had injuries, and look how he turned out. Dalvin Cook suffered hamstring injuries in college. He didn't. I don't think Dalvin Cook didn't tear his ACL till he hit the NFL. By then, he was already a proven product. Benson is no. You're comparing. This man completely blew his knee. From what I read, he blew every major ligament in his knee. But we're comparing him to Dalvin Cook, who had hamstring injuries in college. And guess what? He was still able to play in games with those hamstring injuries. They're comparing him to Jashaun Corbin, who suffered a serious hamstring injury, but it's a hamstring. It's not a blown ACL, MCL, PC. Like, come on. We have to be more intelligent with our comparisons when we're trying to justify some stuff, boy. You have to be more intelligent. You do not compare those injuries to a whole knee. You don't. And by the way, if you really want to go with the Corbin route, at least Corbin, before he suffered his injury, showed at A&M his freshman year, he could take it to the house. They used him as a kick returner. I believe the first game of the season against, I forget who A&M played first game of the season. But it was a big game. Took it straight to the crib. He took it straight to the crib. Okay? Corbin had shown flat. Benson has not shown a flash of, to me, his high school tape don't show any flashes. But that's just me. But the takes on Benson have been a little much for me. And I get flack because I give my honest opinion on it. And, it is what it is, though. It is what it is. I think we got to be more intelligent, man, when we talk about these injuries. Y'all comparing apples to damn grapefruit or apples to kiwi. Like, you're comparing. These comparisons are so out of left field, in my opinion. But we'll move on from the. Basically, Benson in a nutshell, if he's capable, cool. I just don't have any expectations. We didn't need Benson. Campbell High School tape better than his, and Campbell, again, and the same people who are hyping up Benson, let me be very clear, because Marcus said it, the same people that was hyping up Benson are the same people that was hyping up Campbell, and he's a walk-on. I don't have any problem with Campbell, but at least Campbell's a walk-on. If whatever you get out of Campbell is 100% plus, there's no negatives to Campbell because he doesn't have a scholarship. If you get 200 yards of offense from Campbell this year, that's amazing. Benson he's using a scholarship that you could have used, I don't know, on another linebacker, on another defensive end, on another offensive lineman. Benson's at best issue because of the buddy system. Yeah, I'd rather see what Campbell has than take Benson. This man Benson tore his whole knee up, and they compared it to Cook having a bad hamstring. Thank you. Just so y'all know, I wasn't making that stuff up. Firewater knows exactly what I'm talking. Dude, these were the lazy comparisons that people were throwing out there, and I'm reading this stuff, and I'm listening to stuff, and I'm like, our fan base got to be a little bit more intelligent than that. We've got to be a little bit more intelligent than that. You're not allowed to have your own honest opinion unless it falls in line with theirs. But hey, that's why the good old no's come here. Thank you, Chad. I don't think FSU needed it, and I agree with that. Yes, to anything that is cool, awesome, spectacular, great. Man, that's a hell of a name you got there. But he says, I was watching the game today. We did great. However, we can't ease off the pedal when we lead by so much. Truthfully, I was worried. I didn't watch the game. I was following the score. And I thought they were going to end up losing that game too. I thought they were going to end up losing that game. I thought everything sounds like Mackenzie Milton 2.0. Now, it's not that worse, right? I'm not gonna compare him to Mackenzie because Mackenzie literally almost lost his leg. By some accounts, almost lost his life because of lack of blood. Like Mackenzie, I don't think it wasn't that serious. Like, I don't think there's any structural damages to Benson's leg or anything like that. But still, man, comparing that to Jason Corbin or Dalvin Cook is really ridiculous. Marcus Lattimore had a bad injury. I remember his injury. Sucks to be you. I find it difficult to complain about one questionable take. After all, we haven't gotten a portal. Maybe they see something. I don't know. People keep telling me to trust Mike on this running back thing. And, that's fine. That's fair. Okay. We'll see. That's been another thing. People always keep, Mike and these running backs. He's going to get this running back stuff. Okay, cool. And I will say, in year 2, I thought, the running backs were the strength of the offense. So you got me there. But I can still look at a player's skill set from what I see and question it, in my opinion, that I don't see what people are telling me. It's one thing to have faith that Benson could pan out. I'm fine with that. But it's another thing to lie to me to my face and then try to make me see what I know I don't see. Stop telling me this guy runs a 4.49 when I'm watching his tape and it's not a 4.49. Stop telling me that. Stop telling me he's this explosive runner when I'm watching his tape and he doesn't look explosive. That's all I'm saying. Is he good? We'll see. Remains to be seen. That's my thing with Benson as well. I think DJ Williams is what they're bringing Benson in to be. You already have him on the roster. But maybe DJ is regressing. Maybe he's not the player they thought he was. Like, there's a lot of things that you do have to give the coaching staff this benefit of the doubt, is that they see these kids every day. They work with these kids every day. So they know if DJ Williams, if he ain't coming along like they want, they know that. So maybe they feel they need to get another big body back. I'm 100% fine with that. You're absolutely right when you go about it that route. I'm simply stating what I see with Benson in terms of what he brings, the scholarships we have, and the needs we still have on the team, why I don't think Benson was the best take in the world. That's the better question. Forget the running backs. When we going to get this QB thing right? I'm with you there, Firewater. I hope who did that? Who compared him to Cam? Oh my God, the kid was a 3-star. I got in a big conversation about this. It's not even. Here's the thing about tearing the knee. Okay, it's one thing to tear your knee and then a team take a fly on you because they think your knee's healthy now and you're gonna return to form. My problem is, what is he returning to? He was a 3-star in high school for a reason. It's not like he was a former 5-star who tore the knee up and now we're giving a shot at a former 5-star. He was a 3-star in high school. It's not like he was some big-time player in high school either. Where's the Cam comparison coming from? That's flat out ridiculous. I would love to know who said that. I probably already know. But again, it's like those guys just try to sell water to a whale. It's just, again, I'm a smart consumer, so you can't sell me a plastic watch and tell me it's a Rolex. So that's just me. Probably, but then again, but think about what you're saying though, Tyler. If Benson sucks, he'll just hit the portal in a year or two anyway. But that still means we wasted that scholarship for this year when we could have used that scholarship on another linebacker, on another offensive lineman. Hell, take another wide receiver while we're at it. You get what I'm saying? The scholarships are limited. We just can't take as many portal guys as we want. So that makes it even worse, in my opinion, if Benson hits the portal in 2 years. You see where I'm coming from? I don't think there's a positive way to spin it unless you tell me Benson exceeds my expectations and actually gives you – hell, Benson gives me 500 yards. If Benson can have a Trayshawn Ward year like last year, okay. I'm not even saying he has to be Jason Corbin. You give me 500-600 yards, I'll shut up. He's a project of Cuban Jesus might not pan out. We need grad transfer, 1 year left. If he wins the job, great, but we need a second string. guy. JT Daniels might be trash, but not falling for the smoke and mirrors. Daniel better than Bennett, so he can't be terrible. Well, you know, I think the thing about JT is I don't know how good or bad he is because I don't trust Kirby with quarterbacks. And he proved that with Fromm and Justin Fields. So, I mean, Bennett's a national champion, so, I mean, at this point, can you really question it? But I would say they won in a lot of ways in spite of Bennett instead of because of Bennett, but that's just my opinion there. I don't know what JT is. I wouldn't mind a quarterback competition, though. I just feel like they took him as a short yardage back with a good bit of eligibility. He doesn't have to contribute year one like KZ did. And that's fair. But let me, again, I got to rebuttal it. I just got to rebuttal it. You couldn't find a high school player to sit on the bench and develop for a year or two? Or you couldn't find a guy with a good knee? Again, I'm not, like, I hear you, and I'm not necessarily disagreeing with what you're saying, but DJ, again, he fits the mold of a short yardage back. And DJ Williams has, I think, 2 years of eligibility left. I think he'll be a junior this year. But I couldn't have signed a running back at a high school, even if he was a low 3-star guy. I mean, that's what I'm bringing in. That's what I'm bringing in your boy to do. That's what I'm bringing in Benson to do, right? There's just questions I have. I could have found someone with a decent knee, I think. Maybe. I don't know. Again, man, I say this all the time. I'm not an expert. I'm not an insider. I'm just a light-skinned dude on YouTube giving my opinion. So you either like it, you don't agree with it or not. Either way, can you please hit the like button? Do you think we can get JT? Who's JT? I don't know who JT is. Jalen, help me out there. Spear Addicts, what's up with you? He says Daniels can't come to FSU and beat out J Trav. I don't know if he can or not. I think people will stop asking about Dustin Hill now since we already have Winston Wright and these guys are brought in. Who? Y'all keep bringing up that name. I done forgot about that kid. Who? I don't even know who that name. Who is that? Don't know who that is. You got Rodney Hill. Now, I don't think Rodney Hill is a short yardage type back, and I wouldn't rush Rodney Hill out there. I think Rodney Hill could turn into a real good player, but I would not rush him out there. But I actually like Rodney Hill a lot. Johnny Wilson will play Jordan Wilson's role plus more receiving opportunity. That I am interested to see how they use Johnny because, yeah, they can definitely use him as a tight end, and especially if they bring in a 5th receiver, which I don't know if they're going to do or not, but they may look to it. But Wilson can definitely, you can put him at tight end. You can put him out wide if you want to. I think Wilson brings a lot of versatility to your receiving core, whether he's at tight end or not. And I asked that question before Firewire about who's Jordan Wilson by the end of the year. He had found a little niche in this offense, and he was successful, right? Who was going to fill that role? It could be Johnny Wilson. The question is, though, do you put weight on him? I think he's already listed at 6'7", 230. Do you put him up to 240? Do you keep him at 230? It's one thing. I know he had a high run blocking grade, like that even matters for a receiver, but whatever. I know he had a high run block grade, but it's one thing to block small DBs on the edge. Can he have that same run blocking grade when you line him up at tight end and he has to chip a D in, get to the next level and hit a linebacker? I'd be interested to see if they put weight on Johnny Wilson or not, but he brings some versatility. I don't think FSU's getting a quarterback, man, until if they do, I don't think FSU's going to bring a quarterback in at all. I have this sneaky feeling that they're going to ride with Jordan Travis, and they're going to put 50% of their eggs in Travis. Well, I'm going to say they were going to put 100% of their eggs in Travis as far as start. But I think they're really going to nail down on Rodemaker in this offseason, and they're going to make or break him. Rodemaker's going to have to be the backup. He's been in college 3 years going on. Rodemaker's got to emerge as a quality backup. And I think if they would have put Rodemaker in the game against Florida, we might have been in a better position than what Milton was giving us. So I think that's what they're going to do. Now, if Rodemaker goes in if Rodemaker spring looks like last year's spring, then I think post-spring they'll look for a quarterback. But as of right now, I don't think so. We brought in Hill, and that's the guy that's going to sit that year to develop. Benson is a bad pickup, in my opinion. No squad. If he can be that for us, man, that's got to add some wins. Michael Pittman going to be special. I would pull Burton from UGA. Yeah, if you could get him, I would definitely. If he's a take, I mean, obviously he's a take, but if you can pull him, hell yeah, I'd pull him. And especially if you can pull Burton, then that means you could definitely use Johnny Wilson at that tight end position because now you're really loaded. I just don't know. They're saying Burton really in love with Alabama, and you can't blame him. I think that's what it's going to be, man. Mark it down, man. I'm hoping. Now, I don't know either one way or the other, but I think you're going to see in the spring that they're going to throw the book at Rodemaker. I think they're going to throw the book at Rodemaker. That's what I would do. It's make or break times for Tate. I'm not saying you're going to be the starter, but can you run this offense if Travis goes down? And I know how y'all feel about that, but that's just what I think they're going to do. I don't know, man. And again, I think if Rodemaker's spring looks like last year's spring, meaning he doesn't look like he's progressed a lick, then I think they'll move on. I think it will be that. I think they're going to do a lot with Travis too. Don't get me wrong. But I think there's going to be just as much emphasis on the backup. And to me, it should be. I think Winston Wright's going to be a big deal. The Jordan Travis skill set isn't the issue. I agree with that. Yeah. I'm tracking that. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's really no rush to get any of these guys. Post-spring, I think, is when you'll see the next big wave of high school kids. You're going to have a lot of kids come spring game that, like a Dylan Gibbons, right? Dylan Gibbons went into Notre Dame. He didn't earn a starting spot on that offensive line. And he ended up transferring. Who had a better season? Somebody look this up because I don't look. But I heard that Notre Dame fans remember the Kane Madden and the whole get Kane Madden tally thing. And Kane Madden essentially took Dylan Gibbons' spot up there in South Bend. I'm not a big PFF guy, but when it comes to O-linemen, unless I've watched them physically, I'll kind of take their word for it. Who had a better season, Dylan Gibbons or Kane Madden? I would like to know the answer to that question. I heard Notre Dame guys weren't too hype about the way Kane Madden was playing. Burton, Pittman, Benson, our high school teammates. And I think we have a good shot of getting Burton, but we will see. Just about time for the gym. I got 3 minutes, y'all. I got 3 more minutes, and I'm going to get out of here and go sweat a little bit. And Tony said Johnny Wilson's that third teammate. We would be extremely happy on that one. Notre Dame fans hated Kane Madden this season. Said he was a disappointment. I heard something similar, Firewater. That's why I wanted to bring that up because we're talking about the portal and we're talking about, post-spring, there's going to be that next wave of transfers, right? Because guys are going to lose jobs. A guy like, and it's crazy to me that a Dylan Gibbons lost his job to maybe a worse player in Kane Madden. And we picked up a real good player in Dylan, a real good human being, you know. But just to talk about his football, because he's a great, great man. I love what he's doing. But to just talk about on the field, though, he would think he was our highest graded offensive lineman. And somebody can correct me on that, but I'm pretty sure Dylan Gibbons finished the season as our highest rated O lineman. So, hey, who y'all got? I got Rams. Probably should be picking the Bucks, but I got the Rams. Madden had a less than average season at Notre Dame. Okay. I like the Bucks, Tom Brady, another day at the office. Nope. I got Jalen, Cam, and the boys. That's what I'm talking about. Rams, baby. Let's go. But anyway, man, I'm going to get up out of here. Yeah, hit this gym up. And I appreciate everybody who's, you know, I'm going to try to do more of these. Obviously, y'all know y'all can see, like, I'm not home right now. I'm on the move, training and doing stuff like that. But the more time I get, the more I'm going to do it. So, no, I was only a Bucks fan because Jameis was there, to be honest with you. I'm not a Bucks fan. I'm not a Bucks fan. I grew up really hating the Bucks, to be honest with you. When Jameis came, I was a Bucks fan, and then they did my boy dirty. So probably wherever Jameis goes next year, I don't know if the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking at getting Jameis. The Tennessee Titans might want to look at getting Jameis, just to say that if you didn't watch that game. Who Tannehill is bad. Can you imagine Jameis with Derrick Henry and Julio? Man, anyway. Thanks, everybody who tuned in here, man. Like I said, I'm trying to do more of these the more time I get. I appreciate y'all, man. Hit that like button on the way out if you did not hit on the way in. And as always, man, share, subscribe if you're new. Again, I saw some new names, man. So if you're not subscribed, man, subscribe to the channel. And share the channel. That's the best way to keep building the fan base. And so we get a live chat like we had in here today with everybody participating and giving their opinion, thoughts, and questions. These are my types of shows. So share the videos, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. As always, it's your boy POLK over here on 863 Seminole TV. Stay classy, Seminoles, and we got you. Go Noles, and I'm going to get this work in. I'll let y'all next time, y'all.